Facing a $6.4 million budget shortfall, South San ISD avoids layoffs and narrows its deficit with a new budget. Public records show some San Antonio residents have already used more than 1 million gallons of water this year.
Some of the high-pressure irrigation systems can put out, 30 to 35 gallons per minute. And if you have 30 or 35 of those around your yard, that just adds up so quickly.
And Chef Jason Dady's Tre Trahttoria offers tasty Italian with an artistic atmosphere.
Something made new again and somehow elegantly aged at the same time.
I'm Chance Dorland with your Express Briefing for Thursday, August 23rd. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. While South San Antonio Independent School District trustees have avoided laying off employees, Wednesday night's budget was unable to completely close the district's multi-million-dollar deficit. Initially faced with a $6.4 million budget shortfall, fueled by a drop of more than 10% in student enrollment over the past 5 years, trustees used the district's general fund to narrow the deficit to around $3 million for the 2018-2019 school year. The new budget comes a little more than a week after South San voters rejected a proposed tax increase that would have raised an estimated $6.3 million in revenue. In light of the defeat, district leaders proposed several areas for cuts in order to address the deficit, including a 10% budget reduction. The administration's proposed cuts would have reduced the shortfall to $1.4 million, but trustees voted down the elimination of 15 positions and Communities in Schools, a popular program that provides supports to students. Through the end of July this year, San Antonio has used more than 46 billion gallons of water, a sum at least enough to fill 470 Alamo domes. But due to conservation and other efforts, that number is actually somewhere between 15 and 25% lower than 2 decades ago. And while there's no easy way to compare water usage rates across the country, San Antonio is generally considered a low water using city. However, according to records obtained from the water system from January 1st to the end of July, 20 residential users took up a combined 18 million gallons of water, enough to supply 363 average households. And while the 20 largest commercial accounts used even more water, officials say their use is essential for operations and actually represents some of the biggest water savers in the city. San Antonio Express News writer Sarah Shavy says many residential customers don't know they're wasting water until they receive their bills.
Some of the typical reasons for water wastage, those are leaks. Those usually happen in, your pool, your irrigation system, your sprinklers, toilets, and usually that's just if you notice your bill is so much bigger than it used to be, that's probably one of the reasons. In terms of conserving water, you can kind of go about it in one of 3 different ways. You can either just restrict your water use, or you can change up the way that you've set up your lawn, and then third, you can just try and improve the efficiency of your current systems. And SAWS provides a number of resources to help out with that. They have a sort of a Pinterest-esque web page with suggestions for how to improve your landscape. They also do those consultations that will tell you, how you might be able to improve the efficiency of that irrigation system, or maybe you just only need to run it for 20 minutes as opposed to 30. And then they will, enforce those fines if you do happen to be watering on a day that you're not supposed to.
Hear more discussion and resources available to residents from the San Antonio water system on today's episode of In Depth, available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and at expressnews.com/podcasts. And the Express News Taste Team has the scoop on a new old dining experience with an artistic atmosphere and tasty Italian cuisine by Chef Jason Dady.
I'm Mike Sutter, the restaurant critic for the Express News, here to talk to you about this week's review of Tre Trahttoria. Now, this is Jason Dady's new place over at the San Antonio Museum of Art. It was 10 years ago that prolific San Antonio chef opened Tre Trahttoria on Broadway. He closed out that decade by moving the whole Italian show to a riverfront space at the San Antonio Museum of Art. The result? Something made new again and somehow elegantly aged at the same time. And with the recent closing of Tre Enoteca over at the Alley, this is Jason Dady's last Italian stand for now, and he's making it count. As part of the old Lone Star Brewing Complex, Tre Trattoria's home is a blend of weathered architectural details and clean modern lines. This is unfussy food with a real handmade aesthetic. Steak and potatoes? Nah, steak and tomatoes. Now we're talking. Rustic potato gnocchi with earthy mushroom bisque, crispy skinned charred chicken with a clean relish of olive, cucumber, and celery, handmade pasta across the board, including a complex radiatori with brown butter cauliflower. Now, I enjoyed the pizza here too. It's thin like a flatbread style, but dressed in perfect balance with something simple like soppressata and tomato, or more complex like prosciutto and arugula. Mozzarella's an event here too. It's hand-pulled, so it's the right blend of creamy and elastic, dressed with salt and olive oil, served with good bread. With fans blowing and the sun dappling in for breakfast in the morning or an early dinner, Tre is nice even in the summer. Now in the fall and spring, this is going to be one of the nicest restaurant seats in the city. For the full review, please go to expressnews.com/food.
And that's your daily San Antonio Express News briefing for Thursday, August 23rd. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts.